I stand out here in the wonders of the unknown at Hadley, I try to realize there's a fundamental truth to our nature. Man must explore. And this is exploration at its greatest.
And with Renato still in the studio with me, we come to yet another interesting presentation. It looks to me like this is more about data and information and exactly what is going on. It's a very complex world we live in, isn't it?
It is. It's a team behind the crew that is protecting mostly banks, financial institutions, but also other systems.
And I guess in big companies anyway, security in terms of secrecy, exactly what you're doing, exactly what technologies you're employing for various tasks is something that people need to talk about, but only within certain walls and structures.
Exactly.
That's really hard to get that sorted. I don't see on the screen our next guest at the moment. I'm hoping that... no, I do. Excellent. Appeared as I was speaking. Camill Cebulla, we welcome you to our discussion.
Thank you very much. It's a very big pleasure to be with you here tonight.
What exactly are you going to enthrall me with? What are you going to get from... Because I'm not the expert in the technology. I'm looking much more for how you're going to entertain me rather than just the content of what it really means.
I'm actually going to entertain you even though you're not an expert. We are going to talk today about friends or bots. And bots are actually designed to emulate your own behavior when you are visiting certain content online. So you will be able to see how bots can do what you are usually doing, but for fraudulent purposes. Maybe entertaining. I will have a lot of use cases for you in there as well. So maybe something where you can also relate to.
I'm sure I can. Thank you very much. Have you a comment, Renato?
Hi, Camill. How are you?
Can't complain. Everything is great. How are you doing, Renato?
Really good. Although I'm burning inside, this virtual platform is burning. That's everything I can say.
I would have preferred to have a beer with you right now instead of sitting
me
here
too.
in cold Amsterdam.
You already moved to Amsterdam?
Yes, absolutely. This is our new office over here. You can see our nice press wall. But next time when you come here, I will show you around a little bit.
Yeah, I can hardly wait it. Maybe a word from my side. Group IB is one of our latest partners. And we found our cooperation to be really important in this moment of time, especially because they're really helping financial institutions, and they're going really deep in the technology itself and in the systems. And I'm really excited to hear your presentation. The video we saw before is really something. It's announcing something special, something is coming, something great.
Camill, I think the floor is yours.
Yeah, the video is a bit too long for my taste, but yeah, let's start. Good. As I mentioned already in the intro, we are going to talk about friends or bots, about ways how bots are emulating user behavior, and by that are then causing harm to companies, to brands, and to businesses. But what Renato already did now in sort of an introduction is to talk about Group IB and where we get all our information expertise from. And I would like to spend just 2 minutes in explaining you what actually the source of our big knowledge is and of our experience is. Our company is actually in cybercrime investigations in the first place. That's one of our core businesses, which we started already 18 years ago. So for 18 years, we are hunting for cyber criminals. We are helping clients which have been attacked. We're investigating attacks and investigating crime. And by that, gathering a lot of knowledge about everything what is going on in the online world. And we can look back into a very rich history in that. Based on this knowledge which we collect through all of our work, we then start to build up products, start to build up services which can help our customers. And one direction which we are working into is the anti-fraud area. And the anti-fraud area is especially the sector which we talk about when we talk about bots and emulating of user behaviors. So just to give you a little bit of a feeling that I'm not just talking from a perspective of someone who built a product, but I'm talking from the perspective of someone who was investigating attacks, researching them, understanding how they are working, what they are doing, and then finding a cure to it. So let's start with something very basic then. Friend or bot. When we are talking about your friends, then I'm talking about your customers. Customers which are buying your product, visiting your content, using your services. And most of it is happening online nowadays, especially now during the pandemic. So everyone starting from an e-commerce store to a bank, to a manufacturer, to a fashion brand, pretty much everyone has an online appearance, and this online appearance can be abused and used for attacks. And one way how you can start attacks against certain companies is when you build bots who emulate a user behavior, because user behavior is what you want to have on your online presence. And bots are using your openness to the outside world and start to abuse it. How are they doing that? Just a couple of examples. I'm just throwing them into the room right now, like credential stuffing, where bots are trying to get user accounts and compromising them, web scraping, stealing content in this case, vulnerability scanning, brute forcing attacks where passwords are being guessed, abuse of mobile API, filling of auto registration forms. So those are partly attacks emulating real user behavior, but then also showing ways into the companies. And right now, what I would like to do in the next 2 steps, in the next 22 minutes, which I have left, is to first of all introduce you to a couple of use cases, show what bots are capable of, and then talk a little bit about the detection side of things. Let's start with a very simple kind of bot usage, which is web scraping. Web scraping means that a bot is emulating a user, which is visiting a website and is browsing around in the website. But the bot in this case is downloading all the content which he sees and is starting to abuse it in very many different manners. He can either put it up in another place and build an own business on it. He can try to get an advantage over your business. He can try to scam users and many other things. Let's pick up just 3 use cases, which I have prepared for you today. One of them, for example, is a use case of Booking.com. Booking.com hosts a lot of content, which they generate in many different means. All the hotels which are there. For example, I picked up some hotels here in Ljubljana for today, where I cannot stay, unfortunately, of course. But still, a lot of information about hotels, hotel ratings, hotel reviews by users who are posting their reviews and their interest about a specific hotel or a specific venue. There is a lot of content which Booking.com is then monetizing. And when a fraudster starts to download all the contents there, he can start to monetize it himself. He can, for example, upload it into an aggregator and try to lure clients of Booking.com to his aggregator and maybe take a cut from the revenue of Booking.com. He can build an own competing business. Call it Booking2.com or Booking.de. And start to upload content there, mask it under a different brand, and provide the same service. It's very simple to do when you have access to all the content which Booking is providing there. So this is like one example how bots are really stealing intellectual property. The same kind of stealing happens on other portals. Let's say, for example, Monster.com, which is hosting a lot of CVs of professionals. Here, for example, I'm looking for a super risk director, hopefully not hunting him from real security. And the CVs which are uploaded here can be accessed by recruiters, and they can also be accessed then, of course, by bots. Bots can scrape down all the resumes there, puts them into another page, resell them. You can start an own agency just by scraping out CVs from different sources and start to offer them to companies. So they can be a real business built on, which is built on stolen data. The third example here is Amazon.com, which is very similar then in the sense to Booking.com. If you want to build an e-commerce store, download, scrape everything what Amazon has, put it on your site, or just at least the products which you're offering, and then sell your particular products from your particular page, or use parts of it. Use only the review page, for example, from real users, because you don't have them in the moment, and enrich them with what you have taken from there. Yeah, some very malicious behavior in this sense. Another very interesting case is online gambling. Here in this particular case, it's a sport betting site which wanted to combat bots which are building betting forks. What is a betting fork? Imagine that on one gambling page, you are betting on a football match, say Slovenia against Brazil. If you bet €1 on Brazil, and in case Brazil wins, you receive €8 back. Yeah, so you have a coefficient of €8. Then on another page, on another gambling page, when you bet €1 on Slovenia, you get €3 back. So in both, when you now bet €1 on each of those pages, then you can either win €8 on page A or win €3 on page B. In anyhow, you are winning if any of those teams is winning. In a draw, of course, you're out. But this is increasing your probability that you win those bets. Yeah, so those bots are scraping content from all sort of betting pages and are then showing their users where exactly they can build a fork to have either a non-losing situation, for example, in tennis, when you have always a winner and a loser, or in other sports, you can increase the probability that you're going to win or secure bets in this sense. Both of this is then possible. Next topic, credential stuffing. How does this idea actually work? So let's look at two sides, how it works and what you can do with it. How it works. Criminals are obtaining public leak bases. So there are bases filled with email password combinations of victims which have been defrauded somewhere or compromised somewhere, or a platform has been compromised. A very big leak back in the days was, for example, LinkedIn, when email password combinations from a lot of LinkedIn users have been leaked. So a fraudster is now taking this base of email password combinations and is relying on the lazy user. I hope that this is not the relation which you have been looking for in your moderation part, but it's something what the criminals are hoping for. So they hope that you take this email password combination and use it over other platforms as well. So they pick another platform and run a script, a bot, which is checking email password combinations from this leak base on another page. And when they get success, they start to abuse it. How can they abuse it? They can, for example, steal identities. They can participate in certain VIP promo accounts. They can steal cash also. They can do all sorts of things to make your customer unhappy in his online experience and face damages and reputational damages. Let's look at how this looks like when you monitor for such activities. Maybe by this, it can be a bit clearer how big actually this can become. So here in this video, you can see that we have a digital fingerprint, a user session and device, and you can see that we have a login up there in the top where a login is happening. Now, let's move the timeline a little bit into the future. So for now, everything looks legitimate. Yeah, fingerprint, device, user. Now look into the future and we see a much bigger picture. We still see the same fingerprint. And by this, I mean a technological fingerprint, not a physical fingerprint. And we see a geolocation, which is the same, but surrounded by many proxies. And those proxies, via those proxies, the attacker is then trying to log into sessions, to many sessions. So one device, again, is logging into many sessions because he was able to check the password combinations against this new platform. Now let's have a look how this looks also from a description perspective. You see here on the right side that it was detected that a bot was used, Selenium. Selenium is a tool which is used for automation purposes. Then we see a login and a sign in. The bot was still used and a virtual machine was used, which was covering or hiding the tracks of the fraudster in this moment. Yeah, so now he has access to all those accounts. How is he using or monetizing this kind of access? Oops, apologies. Next slide. Yeah, I picked out one example from you, which happened actually quite lately on the 13th of November. The North Face made a statement, a public statement saying that someone used a large credential stuffing attack against them, where they would, again, use an old database, test all the passwords against the interface of the North Face. And in next step, they would abuse the VIP loyalty program. So North Face has a program where loyal customers get higher discounts. And those guys were then using those loyalty programs to obtain product, maybe with stolen credentials, stolen funds, or maybe with their own funds, just trying to receive cheap goods from there. After that, North Face did what the first most reasonable thing they could have done. They reset all the passwords. Now many of you are sitting there and are thinking like, hey, Camill, what are you telling me? I have a captcha in front of my page to protect it from bots. Captures are a good method for standard bots or for very easy bots, but they are not the ultimate stop to bot activities. And in the end of the presentation, when I will show you some use cases, some demos, you will see how a captcha can be circumvented. And also in this picture, I built in a secret letter, which I was asked to by the organizers for your game. And Dr. Evil has this letter on his bot's body here for you guys. So for those who are playing, be aware. Now, next, also a very interesting use case is the autofilling of registration form or any sort of forms. You know all those forms where you have, when you set up an email address, set up a new account on a page, vote for someone somewhere, or buy product, fill in credentials somewhere, you always have to fill in forms. And bots can do this in an automated fashion. And this can then obviously also be abused. Here very popular is, for example, Phantom.js or Selenium.js, which are programmed to fill in those forms. And I will show you later how it actually works and how it looks like in a video. And they are using certain technologies, proxies, for example, to change IP addresses or exit IP addresses, which is the most important thing here, to circumvent simple rudimentary bot protection. And of course, they can circumvent captcha version 2 and version 3 as well. When we look about use cases related to this kind of activity, then you know, I guess also everyone in his private usage that there are all those offers with set up an account and on the first purchase you receive a discount of X%, for example. Yeah, and if you now set up very many of those accounts, you can very many times receive this discount and maybe resell the product or abuse it in some other way. You can conduct money laundering with e-wallets, with smaller amounts which you send from position to position, from wallet to wallet, just by autofilling the forms and sending the money, for example. Electronic voting. We were investigating a big case in the Russian Federation where I guess you have this show in your home countries as well. It's something like American Idol, where you vote for talented people to get to the next rounds. 3 people are singing, you vote who you want to see in the next round. And we saw that someone built a bot which was sending those SMS on in an automated fashion to promote one of those participants. Yeah, we were actually led to this by the viewers of the show who couldn't believe that this particular person won. So we were hired to investigate, and we found a bot responsible for the voting. And then there are many, many different other application possibilities as well. And here we are also again with gambling. You remember that we can scrape content to find the best bets for us. We can also scrape the content, find the best bets, and then build the bots to fill in the betting forms for us and place the bet in an automated fashion in real time. This gives us a time advantage, and it makes us also a little bit less work to gain our profits. Another application is DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks, with the web application itself. So not just by bots pinging your infrastructure and trying to overload it, but bots filling in forms, searching for airline tickets, for example, all the time, searching for hotels all the time, and overload your response system to it. And the same is also applicable to credit card applications. You send out a lot of credit card applications to one bank, and the bank will be quite overloaded with calling you back, sending you SMS, and conducting all sort of other activities. An interesting, maybe last case, which I would like to mention here before I demonstrate how we do detection, is the case of purchasing goods in an automated fashion. Here, for example, NVIDIA. When NVIDIA launched their new video card, which was revolutionary, they put out a date on which they're going to start selling it. And there were bots already prepared, waiting for this date, and started to buy in an automated fashion all those cards. When they were all sold out, they started to resell them on eBay, AliExpress, or any other platform with an additional margin. There are even entire groups online which are gathering to do this all together. Here, for example, Bounce Alerts. It's a society where they find products of interest, throw in money, all of them, buy as much product as they can to manipulate the pricing and then to resell them on other marketplaces. Good examples here also with the PlayStation, which was in some places even sold for 32,000 US dollars because it got sold out so fast. I will skip the brute force case to move more to the demonstration because we have only a couple of minutes left. Demonstration how we circumvent captcha. First, I would like to show a couple of memes to also entertain, as it was wished in the beginning. And a second meme, which is very interesting for the use case which I'm going to provide. You see how the bot is asking here, excuse me, could I get an assist? Would you be clicking at all the photos with bicycles? Thanks, friend. And then the bots are happy because they're in. Remember this meme because it's actually very close to reality. Let me show the video related to how how bots can circumvent. Oh, sorry, there's sound on it. Oh, I switch it off. How bots can circumvent the captcha. So we built an online test portal where we are going to start a bot attack, and we built an own script. This script is built to just log into the account and ask for payment details. Here we have then the page where the captcha is being asked. So the bot already opened the page. The bot is faced with the captcha, and the bot needs to solve the captcha. And here he starts the solving process. The solving process looks in a way that it sends this particular captcha to a third-party service. This third-party service is then showing this captcha to humans in different places. It might be on legal platforms. It might be anywhere. You don't even suspect maybe you filled out such a captcha for a bot in the past. Then after a human filled it in, the bot receives the captcha and fills it in. Now we are in the second stage of the captcha. Again, we have a new one. We send it back to the third-party service, so the bot in an automated fashion. And then when the result from the human support in this sense is coming back, then the captcha is solved and the bot can proceed. And you see also that the money spent on it is only in the fraction of a ruble. And a ruble, for your understanding, we're using a Russian tool here. The ruble, 90 rubles is €1. And a fraction of a ruble is a fraction of a cent. So it costs almost nothing to break this particular captcha. Now, in the next step, we would like to receive our reward for being able to break the captcha. And the reward in this sense is that we want to have the session token, a cookie which proves to the page that we have logged into this page already before and that we are not a bot. Then we go back to our script, use the session token in our script to be then able to execute it. Now you saw how I did it manually here in the interface, but the bot can, of course, also do it automatically. But then we see everything only in a fraction of a second, and this is not so much fun. So here you see that we now start the script again, put in the session token. and launch the script, and the script is active and working. So we circumvented the captcha, launched our script, and received payment information from this account, which we are analyzing here. Yeah. So circumventing of captcha is not so tricky. And then using the session token to make sure that we can conduct more activity is very simple to do as well. Let's have then a look on how we can work on detection here. We again use a portal, a demo portal for it. And in this case, a demo portal which is protected by our solution. And the bot is trying to access the demo portal right now. And we see that he cannot even open the page. It's not working. He cannot access it. So we look into the admin panel. And in the admin panel, we see that our session was forbidden, was blocked. How does this look in an interface style? Here we see an interface where all our alerts are triggered. We refresh it to make sure that we have our session. And here we see that we used Selenium for this particular attack. You can see it as a triggered alert. And when we go then to the particular bot detections page of the portal, we see that here, there was a bot, this particular one, and we didn't let him pass. We blocked him on the way out. So let's go to the token then. Let's try to do the same thing having a token. Let's open the portal manually, being not a bot. Here it comes. We are allowed in because the solution sees that we are not a bot. We then open the admin panel. We log into the portal. We look for the session token. Here it is. It's quite a big one in this case. We go back to the tool. And as we did in the previous case, we launch our script, the same payment script, and we launch it once again with the token. Here, enter, and our requests fail again. Yeah, why do they fail? This time we had a session token. And usually when you have a session token, you're proven to be a human. We don't trust this. So let's do a second thing to go even one step further. We log in manually into the portal to get in a login session token, which proves that we already managed to log into the portal, and we can try it again. So an even firmer portal, which brings us token, which brings us one more step ahead. We launch the script, use the token, and it's not working. It's failing again. How does it look in the interface again? Here we have the detection. The bot was detected and was not let pass because the token limit was exceeded. The token was used too many times. Good. And by this, I already exceeded my time by 1 minute. My apologies for that. Giving back to the studio. I hope you enjoyed it. But before I quit, let me just invite you to a little event where we are going to introduce this platform in more detail at our global launch with new name and new features. So everyone who is here is, of course, invited, and we are going to be happy to have you there. Thank you very much.
Camill, it's very interesting because clearly you're trying to protect everybody from the issues that have occurred. My question that I've asked other people too, though, is from your experience, whilst it may be possible to find that these things are happening and prevent them from going too far, how difficult is it to find the people that are really behind it?
This is a very good question, and it's also very good for me because we have an investigations department which is dealing with such issues on a regular basis. It's really depending from case to case. In many cases, operators of such bots can be even very young. And with very young, I'm talking less than 18 years old. And in such cases, when they conduct such sort of fraudulent activities, they can be detected. And in very many cases, it is possible to show the identities of those people. Yes, it's possible. If you would like to read into it, we just had a case in the beginning of this year where we, together with Interpol, arrested a couple of fraudsters in Indonesia. It's a very nice and interesting read, and I can recommend it to everyone. So yes, it is possible. But there are, of course, very many means how you can hide your identity properly.
Yeah, it's a very big world, and an awful lot of people are trying to beat the system. Just as many, if not more, are trying to beat the system that you are trying to protect it. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. We can talk
I wish
more.
that those people who are spending so much time in inventing those bots would actually invent their time and their energy and their brains for doing something useful. Then the world would be really a better place.
Yeah, they're obviously very bright folk, aren't they, in many cases?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.